Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are re recording our episode of Mockingjay Part 2, or The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, if you'd prefer the long title.
Do
Uh,
you
ex-
prefer the long title?
Not really. Also, excuse my voice today. I have allergies, and it is summer, and it is the worst time ever. But anyway, we spun our wheel the last time we recorded this, and it landed on Rango. So you can join us tomorrow for the Seven Deadly Sins seasons 1 and 2, and next week for Rango, as well as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Slingshot and the Marvel one-shots. If you'd like to avoid spoilers for the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, there will be a link in the description below to the Just Watch page for this movie, which itself will have links to all the platforms you can rent, purchase, or stream it, with price comparisons for renting and purchasing. For us here in the US, it is available to stream on Hulu and I believe Amazon Prime. However, whatever, doesn't matter. You'll find a link in the description below as well to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of the show, as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show Off the Shelf, which is about books, and that podcast is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. Also, in the description is a link to Spotify for podcasters, where you can find links to every platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release a new episode. If you'd like to support the podcast but cannot do so financially, then the best way is to listen to us on Spotify. We've recently lost monetization on all of our episodes, and the only way for us to get monetized again is for us to gain more listeners on Spotify specifically. But
Spotify.
with all that being said, please get out if you'd like to avoid spoilers and come back and listen to this later. Alright, so this is the end of the Hunger Games series. Kind of. I mean,
Again.
there's gonna be another movie after this, but it's set before this, so this is the end. And we are hopefully going to be able to cover the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes at some point, but we'll have to see.
No, it was actually interesting. So I went with my friend to watch a movie, and we actually saw a trailer for that. Um, he had a bit of an interesting reaction to finding out that there was another Hunger Games movie.
What was his reaction?
Um, what, why, when? That order.
Yeah, did you tell him that it's actually based on a book?
I did tell him that. Though I'm pretty sure he assumed that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine they would make completely original movies. Because, I mean, it's Hollywood. When do they ever do
Yeah.
that? Nah,
Wow.
I meant, what I actually meant was I can't imagine they'd make, like, completely original movies spinning off of, like, this book series. Like, that
Yeah.
would feel weird.
Um, we were
You
actually
know.
talking about we like if the timing was just a little bit better, we might have actually gone to see it. But it's in November, which he's back in like Arizona or something like that.
Well, I mean, like, isn't he coming back to where you live during winter break?
Yeah.
It might still be in theaters by then.
Though it most likely wouldn't line up to when you're watching it, so we could just like do an early recording.
Eh, that's fine. I most likely won't be able to see it in theaters anyway.
Uh,
Here lately, me going to theaters is just looking like it's going to happen less and less and less
hmm.
because the local theater is too damn expensive, and then the theater up by close to where my sister lives, well, I mean, it's too far away, so my dad and I aren't just going to go by ourselves. And then my sister's had a baby, so it's
Hmm.
uh, it's just a
Yeah,
mess.
yeah, that does sound like a mess.
So yeah. Anyway, this movie. So in our first recording, we didn't really talk much about how the actor who played Plutarch Heavensbee, but actor's name being Philip Seymour Hoffman. We didn't really talk about how like he died. We talked about it in part one, but I feel like it
Yeah,
slipped both of our minds when we went to do part two.
and when I saw it the second time, like saw it get mentioned again, I was like, oh, we didn't even mention it, despite us mentioning it quite a bit in the first episode.
Yeah. So Philip Seymour Hoffman. Okay, for starters, both Mockingjay parts one and two were filmed at roughly the same time. So I want to get that squared away. But also, Philip Seymour Hoffman, he died in the middle of these movies being filmed, and there was, in particular, at least one scene he didn't get to film, and they shifted his part over to Haymitch. And it does work. If you've read the book, you know exactly what part this is, at least if you have a decent memory. And it's basically after Katniss wakes up close to the end, and like in the book, Plutarch is supposed to fill her in on the stuff that has happened ever since she's like been out cold, and then in the movie, Haymitch does it.
I like it. Um, I mean, it's a tragedy, but I don't know. I kind of like Hamish getting more lines.
Yeah, he really doesn't have much in these two movies. He kind of takes a back seat.
Though, obviously, it's just sad that he died in the middle of recording.
Yeah, rather unfortunate.
Yeah.
I will say though, like I do love that this series ended on a very, very good note. Like this has to be one of the best series of book to movie adaptations I've ever seen.
That is true. Um, if you try to describe what didn't change, you're describing the entire plot.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there are some things that are left out, some minor things that are changed. And like they added in scenes where Katniss wasn't there because the books are told from her point of view, so anything she wasn't there for wasn't in the book. But you
But
could argue,
everything that they add, um, definitely just adds more than it takes away.
yeah, you could argue that all of those scenes did happen in the book, and we just didn't read about them because Katniss wasn't present for them. Like these things could have happened.
I don't
So
think well, I don't think will ever watch a more accurate movie to the book.
there is one other movie that I can think of that's like pretty damn accurate as well. Like it's on par with these. And it's Disney's version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Um, the sequels are not as accurate to the book, though.
Yes, here's the thing. This entire series, The Hunger Games, they were consistent. They didn't just have one shining moment. They have their entire vest is their shining moments.
Now, to be fair, the first sequel to that movie was also made by Disney, and it's also mostly accurate. There is like one major thing added that shouldn't be there. And then the third
Hmm.
movie wasn't made by Disney, it was made by Fox. And that one's,
Oh no,
yeah, that one's not accurate to the book at all.
Fox! Why do you keep doing this? Fox, why?
I mean, Fox has made a good book to movie adaptation that we have covered on this show before.
They also made Percy Jackson.
Yeah, they did. And now Disney's doing it.
This can't be much worse.
I mean, I don't know. Disney also made the Artemis Fowl movie, which, from what I hear, is less accurate than the Percy Jackson movies were.
That's true. My rebuttal is that Percy Jackson has hit a almost rock bottom. There's more chances of going up.
Yeah. It's like the Netflix live action Avatar probably isn't going to be worse than the M. Night Shyamalan live action Avatar.
You have to be really damn bad at your job if you get worse than that.
If you somehow get worse than M. Night Shyamalan's version, yeah, you'd have to
Yeah.
be really bad. But anyway, yeah, I love it that these are fairly accurate, to the point where they're some of the best. I've actually also seen movies where that are like book to movie adaptations where the story is basically the same between the book and the movie, but the way the characters feel it's completely different. You don't
I mean,
feel like these are the same characters.
yeah. Which you
Uh,
just do not. You just has no the same feeling of this movie.
yeah, like this movie, you definitely feel like these are the same characters. A movie in particular where I can think of where it's the case where it's like, oh, the plot itself is fairly accurate, but the characters don't feel accurate for some reason. The Fifth Wave, which we will cover eventually. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's on the wheel.
I don't know, and I don't have the wheel up.
Yeah, but regardless, this movie's really good.
Though we haven't actually touched on anything about the movie.
I mean, aside from Plutarch's death and stuff,
Yeah. Um,
well, the actor's death,
I don't know.
not the
It's a little bit
character.
hard to talk about anything about the movie that doesn't feel like I've already said it before, because guess what? I have.
Yeah, we've recorded this episode before, but the audio got lost, uh, as well as two
Lost
other
in
episodes.
adaptations.
Yeah, there are actually going to be two other episodes coming up soon that are also going to be re-recordings because the audio for those got lost.
I wonder if my sanity also got lost.
Maybe mine did. Mine for sure did. I was screaming this morning.
Well, at least it was this morning and not a few days later.
Yeah, because like, oh, I figured, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and get these episodes edited because the weather might prevent me from going out any other time soon. But nope. Turns out I couldn't get these episodes edited because they don't exist.
Yay! Though my audio still exists, so my rating will be what I rated it before.
Yeah. But regardless, anyway, what a fantastic series. Just honestly, I have to say it like
Oh
this
yeah.
the entire series. It's a story of someone who manages to keep her humanity, keep her compassion in the absolutely worst possible circumstances. Like this gets absolutely brutal. She even has compassion for the children of the capital. Reminder, the people she is fighting. She manages to
Yeah.
have compassion for them even after her sister is killed. Like she has
Okay,
lost pretty much everything.
that definitely puts like this main character above a lot of other just characters.
Yeah.
Though I really want to talk about that oh shit, I forgot the name, the person who really wanted to be the new mayor.
President Coin.
Coin, thank you. I love Coin because of how well they foreshadowed that.
Yeah, how well they established that, like, if Katniss truly let her take power, she'd be replacing one ruthless dictator with another.
And it just makes everything in part 1 make sense.
Yeah. And, like, the sad thing is, in history, wars have been fought where the end result is that they replace one ruthless dictator with another ruthless dictator. And I'm not even kidding. There has also been a war that was fought where they replaced one ruthless dictator with the previous ruthless dictator that had been replaced.
Wasn't this China?
I'm not sure. Might have been the Koreas or something. I don't know.
Uh, I can't remember.
I can't either. I know Oversimplified talked about it.
But yeah, this Coin is just so fun of a character because she talks like she's above it all, but she's not. Her
Yeah.
expressions are so malleable. The way she talks to Katniss.
Yeah, she's definitely a very intriguing character, I'll say that much. Uh, I will say one thing I don't like is how this movie does take away some of Katniss's character development that she had in the book. Because in the book, she actually earns her way to going to the ground on the Capitol, whereas in the movie, she just kind of sneaks onto a hovercraft and goes.
Okay, admittedly, sneaking around and doing whatever the hell she wants, that is such a Katniss move. That is a pure, just Katniss doing what Katniss wants.
And to be fair, though, like, she. God, it is so rough to see a lot of the things in this movie. Like, you see Finnick die.
It's an absolute nightmare fuel.
Yeah, and, like, Finnick dies after, like, shortly after we see him get married. And we later learn that his wife was pregnant.
Yeah, a lot of tragic things happen in this movie.
Yeah. And then later, Prim dies. And not only does she die, we find out that it was District 13, President Coin specifically, who killed her. And that the bombs that Gale created were part of it. So Gale had a hand in her death as well.
I mean, it's the price of innovation that will be used in war.
God,
And
and
sometimes, the person that you're giving your weapons to, not exactly the person you want to hand a baby to, let alone a nuke.
the sad thing is, like, Prim was the Prim, in my opinion, was like one of the best like characters, at least in the book series. And like
Wasn't she like barely on screen in like the first two movies?
I wouldn't say barely. I would say she was barely on screen in like the last two. Like
Well, I
she
mean,
was,
like she was on screen for like the beginning of the first. Well, sorry, I guess I forgot how the beginning of the first and second movie are a lot longer than I remember.
yeah. That's the thing. It's like in the second movie, I think the games don't even happen until like an hour and 45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, but she was barely in the first movie
I
because
wouldn't
the
say
games
that.
happened a lot quite quicker.
Eh. I'm not sure they do. It's like she's in
Then the
the
second
first
movie, yeah.
in the first movie, like there's enough time there for you to get to know the character a bit. And then like in the second movie, you've seen that she's grown a bit. But like the thing I want to highlight is this series, like it started with Katniss volunteering to take the place of her sister so she doesn't die.
It's a noble effort to having all hell unleash.
Yeah, it's
I mean, this one event um caused the entirety of the Hunger Games, like the Hunger Game books, because if there was no that, then I mean, I bet they wouldn't even have done the Hunger Games for the 75th one. I don't even think they would have done Returning Survivors.
yeah, no. I didn't get
They
that
only
vibe.
they only did that to kill Katniss.
Yep.
So obviously they would have done something else. And without the Returning Survivors, they probably the District 13 probably wouldn't have acted.
Yeah. And that's the that's kind of the crux of everything. It's like the Capitol kind of shot themselves in the foot, especially since they knew District 13 was still out there.
How did they know District 13 was still out there?
They just they just knew. Like it was a whole thing.
Okay.
But they couldn't really take them out
Why is that?
because they didn't have the power. Like they didn't know what kind of stuff 13 had. Like that was a whole aspect of the first part of this movie. They didn't know the kinds of defenses that 13 had. They didn't know how many people were there.
Hmm. So the the prequel, and I just want to that's like the first Hunger Games, right?
I don't think so.
It's in the sorry, I'm just bringing up the trailer that I saw. He was like, "I am the first. Welcome to the first host of the Hunger Games."
Maybe. I don't know. I thought I remembered seeing something about it being the 10th, but I don't know. I haven't read the book.
Uh, I don't know. It looked very old, which I kind of like. I had like this very old microphone to it.
Yeah. I will I don't know. I'd prefer not to talk about it much because I'm
I know,
trying to
yeah,
avoid
I should.
I'm trying to avoid like knowing really anything about it. Like
Really?
I already know it's supposed to be following Snow.
Okay, that's actually something I didn't know. But in the theater, I kind of guessed that if it was like Snow's origin story.
Yeah. But regardless, I think I think Jennifer Lawrence does a fantastic job playing Katniss. We will be
Oh
seeing
yeah,
her. We will be seeing Jennifer Lawrence again in the X-Men series if we ever figure out a way to get back to covering that.
I just think she should learn how to, properly shoot a bow. I swear to God, in some instances that her nose is just gonna be like taken out. Especially in that, like, I think I just noticed that, like, in the execution where she was lining up to shoot Snow.
But also the choice for PETA is pretty good too. Josh Hutchinson, we will also see him again because he will be he'll be in Bridge to Terabithia, although he's much younger in that movie. Also, the actor who plays Gale is Liam Hemsworth, um, and that is Thor's actor's brother.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, do their all these actors do their characters super well.
yeah,
And there's no character I'm just like, oh, I don't like you. No, go away. No, all of them are super interesting in their own way.
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I also really love like minor things too that they kept accurate to the book, like PETA's whole real or not real thing. Like that was in the book. I also really love a little touch in this movie where they actually showed the epilogue where Katniss and PETA have kids. Because if you remember, in the very first movie, uh, Gale and Katniss are having a conversation about whether or not they'd have kids, and Katniss doesn't want to bring anyone into this world with how unforgiving and cruel it is.
Hmm. You know, and I know the book makes the ending a lot more grim, but when you just look at Katniss with kids and even take that scene into account, it's actually kind of beautiful in a way.
Yeah. I don't think the book's ending is quite as grim as as Dominic Noble was making it out to be. Like, yes, she still has PTSD, and yes, the movie also kind of establishes that she still has it, and that her nightmares are never going to go away.
I know, it's like, I feel like there was one line about, Katniss, like, not really liking her children, or I forgot what that was.
No, that's not even a thing in the
Okay.
book. Um,
Can't remember what he was talking about.
I also really appreciate that the book ends. Well, the book ends with a particular song that we first knew, like we first heard Katniss sing to Prim in the very first movie. She also would sing it to Rue when Rue died. Um,
Hmm.
but we get the full version of that song in this movie. It plays in the credits.
I didn't watch the credits.
You should. It has the full song, and the lyrics are 100% accurate to the book.
Um, what was the name of the song again?
I don't think it has a name.
Huh.
At least if it does, I don't know it. But the filmmakers probably would have made a name for it.
I just can't remember how, like, the song went,
Yeah,
or when it played.
I mean, I told you when it played.
I
Like,
just can't visualize it.
but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this movie, it very much closed off the series in a great way. I'm not sure if I agree with Dominic Noble's, like, accession that this might be the worst in terms of, like, an adaptation, because I don't know. I feel like they're all too solid to say that any one of them is the worst.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said before, I don't think you said it now, that this needed, like, having two movies just made the story better. And that's
Yeah,
how the book should have been written.
yeah, I feel like the book should have been longer than it was. Um, that's just my personal take. So I'm glad the movie was split into two, and I don't think it was done just for money, as Dominic Noble claimed. But I mean, he's allowed to have his opinions.
I still need to watch. I still need to read the books.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you will, though, is a question in and of itself.
It is a great question.
I think they're well worth the read, but that
I'm just not like that big into reading. Like it's weird. When I do read, I love it, but I just can never find the time to make myself read.
yeah, I get it. But anyway, I don't really have much more to say. Like, this movie's great. The entire series is great. What more do you want? The actors are fantastic.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything more, especially like if we left anything out of what we said in our previous recording.
I mean, our previous recording was weeks ago. It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
remember.
we're not gonna remember that. Want me to get into some ratings then?
Yeah,
Um, IMDb gives this a 6.5 out of 10. Rotten
gross.
Tomatoes gives this a 70%, and
Eh.
Common Sense Media gives this a 4 out of 5. And 83% of Google users like this movie.
I'm gonna give this an 8.8.
I can't remember it now, but I'm pretty sure I gave this an 8.1.
You did.
Okay, cool. I know I directly said it to you, so I didn't know if you remembered what I told you.
Yeah. So, as was said earlier, you can join us tomorrow for The Seven Deadly Sins Seasons 1 and 2, and next week for Rango and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Slingshot and the Marvel one-shots. But until then, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, we will be seeing you.